Hey, another broadcast of Quackaholics Anonymous. I didn't get an opportunity to do one of these last week. Had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I'm not going to be able to do it this week, but I did have a suggestion from somebody about talking about all the different types of personalities you meet in the AA meetings. You got the angry old-timer with the double-digit years. It's got to constantly always be very angry about everybody. And commanding that everybody be grateful. Like if you have a lighthearted meeting and everybody's kind of in a good mood and kind of laughing at the start of it, he's like, "Oh, I hear people laughing in here, and well, I wasn't laughing when I got here. I wasn't laughing, I was living behind the dumpster." And then he's got to tell that usual story that he's told a million fucking times before, like we've never all heard it before. And then you got the bright-eyed kind of floating around in the stratosphere type of AA guru that sits in there with the whole, "Oh, it's good to be here. It's good to be seen. It's good to be anywhere. It's just great to be here. I mean, it's great to see everyone. I just love what you read," and all those types. I don't know if it would require an entire video series to try to cover all of those, or if I could do that in one video. It would be kind of a long video. But it is something I'll give some thought about, too. This particular broadcast, I was actually thinking about, somebody had brought up not too long ago seeing memories on their Facebook timelines. And when you see a memory on your Facebook timeline, luckily there wasn't a Facebook around during my really early cringeworthy years in the occult religion. Otherwise, I'd be having that too. I found some old notebooks one time, way later on after I was in the process of deconstructing from the cult religion, and I looked through those and it was like, yeah, this is pretty cringeworthy. This is pretty embarrassing. I was writing down about my parts and stuff, and I was writing down all kinds of horseshit crap from that I was probably sharing with old-timers who were more than happy to laugh at me behind my back, as I saw many of them do. Probably sharing that with other people, like I saw many of them do. I would advise anybody who's watching this, if you are in AA and you're still going to AA and you're not ready to quit the cult religion of AA, do not share anything that you don't want spread all over, because they do not value any kind of confidentiality whatsoever, and everything you say, like the Miranda rights, will be used against you. I've seen them make fun of people up behind their back, laugh at people behind their back, make mockeries out of people, and of course, they don't always keep the story straight either. If they can add a few juicy details to make it even better, they will do that. I've seen them totally lie on people and totally ruin people in groups and think it's really funny, and then I'll see them sitting in meetings talking about, "Yeah, today I don't gossip. I look at that part in the big book. My purpose is to serve God and help others." The hypocrisy is just so nauseating. But when that got brought up about, seeing Facebook memories and things like that, it got me to thinking about one nice thing when I did join Facebook. When I got out of the cult and was able to unfriend and block a lot of those people, was I didn't have to see on my timeline sobriety counters, and I didn't have to see pages 86, 87, 88, 89, or whatever the fuck it was, because, well, if you've been going to AA for decades, shouldn't you know what's on those 3 pages by now? But I decided, because I used to see that from certain people, every day if I logged into Facebook, they'd have it there, they would show up in my timeline, it would say 86, 87, 88. So why don't we take a look at 86, 87, 88, or whatever it is, and see if there's anything of value to be found on it whatsoever. But if we're going to start at 86 starts in the middle of a paragraph. So I don't know if it took them, like in 3 decades they haven't caught that or not. So technically it would be from page 85 into 86. But it concerns itself with step 11. Which, by the way, if you can believe whatever you want to in AA, why do you have to do prayer and meditation? But he lies about it too on here. He says, I suggest it. Step 11, page 85, suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. We can't be shy on this matter of prayer. No, because I typed it and said so. He acts like that. That is one thing I do want to throw out of the way before I get started here. I have noticed a tendency among cult members to say things as though those statements are absolute fact and cannot be argued with. You mistake personal opinion, you mistake personal feeling as some kind of commandment that the entirety of the world needs to follow, as though it's some kind of absolute, simply because some asshole types we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer doesn't mean anything. It's totally meaningless. Was Bill W. saying we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer when he was stealing money in book royalties? I could go into the history of the big book in one of these videos. Was he not being shy on the matter of prayer when he was lying to his wife and screwing around on her and everything else? But we shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Okay, I guess. Better men than we are using it constantly. Better men than we are using it constantly. What men? And how do you define what a better man than we are? And why do you get to speak for everybody? Why do you get to speak for the entirety of everyone who has an addiction problem from 1930s all the way up to 2024? Why am I supposed to take words written by some con artist from 1939 with any kind of authority whatsoever? Better men than us are using it, and they're doing it constantly, and it works. How do you know it works? I don't see anything in the history of 1939 that suggested there was anything great going on. As a matter of fact, I was able to find the online book More Revealed, and I'm going to use that too in addition to the Homage Papers. It was in the Wayback Machine. It says in 1939, at the time this book was written, AA was broke. Yeah, it was actually broke. It was falling apart. And this book was kind of put together in a last-ditch attempt to make money. And at the time, they had an AA member that they could get on the radio to do a promotion for the AA book. And they had to lock him up because he had a tendency to get drunk. So it was kind of, difficult to promote a book through a guy who had connections in radio if the guy was too trash to actually talk on the radio. They had to lock him up and dry him out long enough that he could make a promotion on the radio. Then he could go get trashed again. So that's where this book actually comes from. But let's just see. If we have the proper attitude and work at it, it works. Proper attitude about what? I mean, if I'm supposed to be in an organization that says I can believe whatever I want to believe as long as I don't drink, where does Bill W. get to decide the proper attitude about prayer? I mean, that's another funny thing about these people in AA I've noticed that are kind of anti-religious altogether. The God I grew up with, I had to get rid of that God. I had to get another God. I had to get the God of my understanding and all that. What hard evidence specifically, hard evidence that's demonstrated, you can demonstrate in real world time, demonstrate where other people can be convinced of this same thing. What hard evidence do you have that actually convinced you that you had to get a God of your own understanding, which means you just made some shit up and decided to follow the commandments of the big book? What exactly convinced you that that was the proper way to go, and that maybe the hardcore, punishing, cruel, evil, sadistic God of your childhood was not the correct God? I mean, you had to come to that conclusion based on something in reality, right? Or is it just an appeal to superstitious thinking that Bill W. so expertly does? But anyway, so he's telling me that you got to do this constantly, and it works. And he's telling me better men than me, which you have yet to define what a better man is. What is a better man than me? You, Bill W., the one who died begging for booze and stole money from people that you promised royalties to for this shitty book? I mean, what do you mean better men than me? You're telling me that that this is just going to absolutely work, that we can't be vague about this matter, that we have to have this proper attitude, which you have not properly defined, and that we have to make some definite and valuable suggestions. Suggestions? This is a suggestion program now. This is something I thought we couldn't shy away from. This guy can't even write a fucking paragraph. And the people obsess over this fucking book and act like it's the Holy Grail or something. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Well, constructively review our day. How do you do that exactly? Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Discussing things with other people that are not qualified, like AA fucking predators and old-timer assholes that are more than happy to gossip on you behind your back, that are more than happy to lie about you behind your back, it's probably best not to discuss anything with those people. And why you got to confess everything about yourself to someone else anyway? Why you got to constantly tell other people what's going on with you with every little thought you have? Maybe that's not necessary. Maybe the God of my understanding says that you can keep things to yourself because it's safer that way. And why is it something that, why is this constructive review of our day all about what you did wrong? Why isn't it about, well, let's take a look at the day today. You know, let's see. Well, I did this today. I managed to do that today. I didn't do that bad at this today. I actually managed to get to the gym or whatever today. I mean, why is it all about, are you resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Yeah, people can get afraid. It's a normal human reaction. People can be dishonest depending on the circumstances because morality is not absolute and carved in concrete, stone tablets, where you get to decide, Bill. There is such a thing as situational ethics of something in terms of honesty. Like, I don't know, it's been used a million times. If the Nazi party knocked on your door in 1930s Germany and you knew where Jews were hiding, is it more moral to just be dishonest and say, I don't know where anybody's hiding? Or is it better to just be honest? Yeah, you know, there's women and children hiding under that floorboard over there, you know. Take them all out and shoot them if you have to, but I told the truth. God will bless me for this. Were we kind and loving towards all? Well, see, that's another silly idea in of itself. Kind and loving towards all, which I think is rich coming from AA old-timers. AA old-timers who bully people and treat people like garbage for not kissing their ass up properly enough. AA old-timers that demand to be worshipped in their fucking AA meetings and all that. I mean, they're kind and considerate and loving towards all. They'll probably actually tell you with a straight face that they practice that too. That's amazing, the hypocrisy. Oh my God, this is like a headache here. I'm getting a headache reading that. And yeah, if you saw a balloon float in the background, it was my landlord's children were over here having a little birthday party. They left the balloons. They were here when I wasn't at home. So yeah, that's what the balloon was if you see it float. There it is right now. Must be a sign from God right there, right? Or were we thinking of what you don't have to, by the way, be loving towards everybody. Be loving towards the people that are immediate, close to you, and deserve it. You don't even know who some people are. You don't know if you're being loving towards someone who's a predator that's maybe trying to get your personal information to scam you on your credit cards, or might be somebody who's staking out your house to break in when you're not there, or might be somebody who's a fucking child molester that'll come after your fucking children, and you're supposed to be loving towards everyone? It's not necessary to be loving towards everyone. I mean, that's kind of basic, I mean, to me. Why do you got to be nice towards everyone? They're not nice towards you in AA, are they? There is you know, this, if you actually tried to follow this to the letter, it's more or less just saying be a humble little doormat, letting the whole entire world piss on you whenever it feels like it. Ugh. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Yeah, most of the time I think people think about themselves. You know, people who think about themselves generally tend to do better towards the people around them that they care about. Because if you're being a better person in life, you generally have a tendency to be just more considerate for your immediate loved ones. You generally tend to be the kind of guy that, yeah, you know what, if I'm working hard here and putting everything in my life first, I have the ability to do something nice for somebody else. I'm not talking some Ayn Rand or whatever it is, but I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. Not even in a philosophical way. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with thinking of yourself. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first, because guess what? Nobody else is going to take care of you in this life. Nobody else is going to pay your bills. Nobody else is going to get your blood sugar down. Nobody else can take your can go to your doctor appointment. Nobody else can do any of the things that you have to do. Is anybody going to get up and go to work for you? Is anybody going to do that for you? Is somebody going to say, you know what, you stay in bed today and relax, and I'm going to go to my job, and your job, and I'm going to do it all day long, and I'm going to give you all the money for it? Anybody going to do that? Didn't think so. So yeah, you better be thinking of yourself most of the time. Speaking of which, this is like the height of hypocrisy here. Do you ever see AA people talking about anything but themselves? All the time. Of what we could pack into the stream of life. Well, I can tell you what AA people pack into the stream of life. Their never-ending, ceaseless blabbering in meetings about how important they are and how everybody should bow and scrape to them. We must be careful. We must be careful. Careful about what exactly here? Not to drift into worry. Worry is natural. Remorse. Well, you know, if you're going to look at your day and say you did something wrong in the day, you should have remorse. Is Bill W. saying you should never feel remorse for all the bad things you did? Because you really shouldn't be worried about that at all. You just taking a constructive view of your day behind and saying, you know what, AA God and the AA people might not approve of this behavior. The fuck with what happens to everybody else, because that's not what's really important. What's really important is looking good in AA meetings. And AA God, of course, granting you favors like parking spaces. For that would diminish our usefulness to others. There we go with that others again. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness. Well, wait a minute. You're saying I got to make a review of my day and then ask God to forgive me for my day? What kind of fucking weird, twisted bullshit is that? And inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Maybe there are no corrective measures to be taken. I mean, if I get up early in the morning, when the alarm clock goes off, brush my teeth, comb my hair, put in my contact lenses, go to work, go home, pay a bill, watch Netflix, do whatever, I don't need to beg for fucking forgiveness. This is weird. I mean, this is just plain weird. He's telling you every day you're doing something terrible. He's telling you every day you got to put everybody else ahead of your own needs, which is not healthy, not conducive to mental health at all. He's telling you that you got to beg for forgiveness. This is what people read every day. People who, by the way, don't practice it. If you've ever been in an AA meeting and spent any time with those old-timers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. This is ridiculous. Most people who wake up and think about the day ahead, including people who have had drinking problems and no longer have drinking problems, are generally thinking about the day ahead with, I've got to take care of this, I've got to take care of that, got to do this, got to do that, hope it's a good day at work, hope my car doesn't break down, hope nothing terrible happens, hope I make it home safely by this evening, and yeah, that's about it. I don't think that, for one thing, you're supposed to roll out of bed in the morning and say, now God, don't let me be dishonest today. Now God, don't let me be self-seeking today. Don't let me desire to work some overtime so I can pay some extra bills and be able to have a little fun on the weekend with some extra money so I can go see a Dune movie, maybe, or something like that. Don't let me do that, God. That's ridiculous. Can't have any self-seeking motives. Can't try to, maybe, I don't know, today's the day. I'm not going to smoke a cigarette today. Today's the day I'm going to give up that extra helping of candy. Today's the day because I stepped on the scale this morning and saw that I'd gone down another pound. I'm going to give it my all today, and I'm not going to cheat on this diet or whatever because I'm self-seeking and I'm vain and I care about my health and I care about myself first, and that's why I'm going to live like this. He doesn't want you to do any of that. He wants you to beg God. Don't let me do those kinds of things, God. Just let me be a good AA sycophant, sucking the boots of old-timers and mistreating the people with less sober time than me, because that's what you want from me, God. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Who gets to determine motives? Who gets to determine when it's your brain talking and it's God talking? Who gets to determine that? Bill W., your AA sponsor, the group consciousness? Who gets to determine that, if you say to yourself, well, today, today's a good day because I haven't had a drink in about 6 or 7 months, you know what? I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to go buy one of these DVDs that I've been wanting of this movie that's just now come out, well, Blu-ray nowadays. And I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to enjoy my show and everything. I think I'm going to treat myself to something nice because I'm doing a lot better since I've stuck to my habits and my goals. How do you determine if that's you talking to God talking? And if it's me talking, why is that such a bad thing? I don't ever recall AA God living beside me, talking to me, offering to drive my car for me, offering to pay my bills for me, offering to do jack shit for me except punish me with drunkenness for not sitting in meetings and bowing and scraping and telling him, God, I'm terrible, God. I know I'm terrible, God, just please don't let me get drunk. That's all God's good for in AA, and you know what? I don't fucking need him. I mean, like AA people that are often quick to say something like, you put yourself there, like they've said something profound. Well, guess what, AA asshole, if I put myself here, guess who's going to get me out? Me. So why am I wasting time talking to you? Why am I wasting time praying to fucking AA God who doesn't do jack shit for me except threaten me with drunkenness for not bowing and scraping enough. Please do not read this page every day. It's bad for your mental health, you know. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. Well, yeah, that's called being a human being. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Well, that's also called being a human being. Here is where we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought and decision. God's got nothing better to do if he exists. Hey, God's got nothing better to do in the universe with all the things that are going on right now, with famine, with plague, with terminal illnesses, with people in poverty, with people in war, with people that are dealing with children that have cancer, with people who are dealing with massive unemployment rates from companies they may have worked at for decades and the loss of their stock through some kind of crooked scheme or whatever. God doesn't give a shit about any of that. He's just going to sit here on his ass and wait for a drunk to say, I don't know what to do today, so could you give me a thought? I mean, that's all that God's got to do, and if you don't ask him for it, he's going to make you drunk? Fuck you, God, I don't need you. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised at how the right answers come after we've tried this for a while. You mean when you think about things for a little while and you get an idea how you might want to fix the problem, you might figure out how to fix the problem? You're telling me that this is just a fucking miracle? You're telling me that I'm supposed to, oh my God. I thought about how am I going to pay that bill this week, and you know what? I realized that I could give them a partial payment this week and pay the rest next week if I call them on the phone. Well, that couldn't have possibly come from my own brain. No, that couldn't have come from my own brain. That was hey, God giving that to me. And hey, God said if I don't get on my knees tonight and thank him for giving me that, he's going to punish me with drunkenness. So I need to get to a meeting tonight and tell everybody how God gave me an answer on how to pay a credit card bill. This is so stupid. I mean... And they read this every day, folks, every day. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God. Wait, being inexperienced. Let me ask you a question, Bill. If you have experience with making conscious contact with God, conscious contact with the creator of the universe, you ought to be able to prove that. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So unless you can demonstrate to me that you and all you AA gurus and old-timers and all you assholes are actually talking to God consciously, having a conscious contact with God, then I can dismiss that as nothing more than you saying, oh, you know what, I figured out how to do something today. So I was talking to God and God talked back to me. If you had actual knowledge that God existed, don't you think that would probably be the biggest news story of the entire history of the human race? The entire history of everything. Don't you think that would be one of the grandest stories ever? I actually know, beyond a shadow of all doubt, that God exists because I have a conscious contact with him. Don't you think you could call CNN with something like that and they might be interested if they didn't think you were fucking Looney Tunes? But yeah, you're saying being inexperienced with a conscious contact with God as though you, Bill W., are able to call God on the phone at any given time. Coming from a guy who made money off of stolen book royalties with AA and who screwed around on his wife and was totally unfaithful to her. I'm not moral police here. But any fucking asshole that's going to tell me that he's got a conscious contact with God, whose own life is a fucking train wreck, there's a little bit of a problem with this. Being inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it's not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. Well, how do you know when you're really inspired by God, and how do you know when it's just your thinking? How do you really know if an inspiration is not just a bright idea coming from you? And how do you know that something from beyond space-time and supernatural realm beamed it to you? How do you demonstrate the difference between that? I mean, can you demonstrate the difference between that outside of just telling me that that's what it is? Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely on it. Is that why so many old-timers just sit in meetings for decades at a time, not accomplishing anything other than bullying new people around? Is that why Bill W. himself died begging for booze? Is that why, I could keep going on here, but I think you get the idea. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer. that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be. Well, why should God, God, be preoccupied with every step you take throughout the day? What does he sting every breath you take? I mean, why should he worry? Why should it matter? Most people aren't doing anything that grandiose in the great scheme of things out here, but trying to survive. Why should God be monitoring my every thought, my every step, my every feeling, constantly threatening me with drunkenness if I don't obey, and pray and beg? Why should that be necessary? How is that uplifting? How is that helpful? This is a slave mentality. This is a slave mentality like Big Brother is watching you, okay? Well, you walk down the street all day today, just know this. He's listening to your thoughts. He's listening to your actions. He knows. He knows that you thought about Scotch liquor last night. He knows you want to taste that Scotch liquor. He's going to fuck you up for that, you know. That's not a healthy or conducive way to live, in my opinion. That's a terrible way to look at things. You're constantly nagging at yourself. You're constantly questioning yourself. You're constantly feeling like you've done something wrong when you haven't done anything wrong at all. We ask especially for freedom from self-will. There is no freedom from self-will. That is about the silliest thing I've ever heard. Self-will is who you are as a human being, because as far as hard solipsism is concerned, or proving otherwise, I know for a fact I exist. I know for a fact that I'm here. I know for a fact that if I don't pay this light bill, what's going to happen to me? I know for a fact what's going to happen if I don't work. I know for a fact what could possibly happen to me if I don't try and take care of my health. These things are realities. So if I'm guilty of self-will, then I'm just guilty of self-will. Sorry, Bill, I can't sit on my ass drinking nasty-ass coffee and mistreating people for the rest of my fucking life. My life is not yours or God's to have. And you know what? I'm not drinking either. So explain that, Bill. Must be a miracle again, right? Because I don't have to drink, and I live on self-will. You know who gets me out of messes? I do. You know who who does things in life that help me out? I do. Not your God, not your fucking gurus, and not your stupid fucking book. And we careful to make no request for ourselves only. So I can't pray for myself. So what good is this? We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. People don't help nobody. People just constantly pollute the air up with their fucking presence, telling everybody else how wonderful they are and how everybody needs to bow and scrape to them. They don't help nobody. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Well, that's not my fault, Bill. You're a fucking idiot. You know, I'm going to worry about my selfish ends in this world. I'm going to worry about myself. You know who had to stop drinking? Me. You know who's worried about getting liver problems if he picks up booze again? Me. Not you, not your book, not your stupid groups. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. We're going to just speak in assertions. Many of us have wasted time doing that, asking for ourselves, and it doesn't work. You know what? That's not even worth answering. You don't know who, exactly. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that. Doing what exactly? Did a bunch of people come to you, Bill W., and say, you know, I used to pray for myself all the time and it just didn't work. I used to pray for myself all the time and nothing happened. And so now I just pray for everyone else all the time and bow and scrape all the time for everyone else, and it works. What does work mean anyway? You can easily see why. No, I don't see anything. I see a idiotic moron madman typing a lot of fucking garbage that he stole from the Oxford group, trying to drum up money to save his fucking bankrupt AA organization at the time this book was written. So no, I don't easily see shit. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in the morning meditation. I bet they would groan in horror at the thought of being able to do that, because then they would have to sit and listen to you say, well, we're going to all pray this morning. Well, let me tell you something. Before we pray, I didn't pray 5 years ago. I was a drug addict living on the streets, had 19 felony arrests. I died in a hospital and came back to life, and the doctors were amazed that I came back to life. I'm a thief, I'm a rapist, I'm a con artist. I'm not any of those things anymore because God did it for me. Now let's all pray together. Now I think the wife and the family members and everybody else, if they hear that you're going to pray, AA member, they're going to run in terror, or they're going to groan inwardly inside in pain in total agonizing pain that they got to listen to you run your self-important fucking mouth one more time about how AA made you from a disgusting, dejected criminal to God himself. Conscious contact phone calls with God every day today. I mean, this is nauseating, you know. I don't even like getting worked up like this, you know. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. Yeah, go to an AA business meeting. You'll see how well they do that. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Well, I'm running my show to the best of my ability. I don't have any control maybe over a tornado happening. I don't have any control over an earthquake happening. I don't have any control over my health. I could have a heart attack, a stroke, be in a car crash. I could have MS right now due to a lesion on the brain. Those things I don't have any control over, but as for everything else, I'm running my own fucking show. And I'm not going to have a bunch of losers sitting in meetings all day long, accomplishing nothing, doing nothing, telling me what to do. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. No, I don't give a shit about your will, because you know what? I tried it for over 11 years and all I did was stay drunk. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. Except excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions make us human. And that's universal, all across the globe. And it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you had a problem with drinking or not. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Speak for yourself, Bill. When I let other people run my life for me, my life was a horrible train wreck. When I let AA people tell me what to do, my life was a fucking nightmare. Since I started running my own show, things are a whole lot better for me. Like I said, I don't control everything. I don't control natural disasters happening. I don't control whether or not lightning strikes me when I walk out that door. I don't necessarily control if I get behind the wheel of the car and get on the interstate. A tire could blow out that I had no idea was going bad. I could flip the car over and die, or worse. I could be eaten up with cancer right now. All those things are very true. But being down on your knees just saying I'm a garbage human being that needs AA, God, and Bill W.'s book to run my life is a horrible way to live. And I pray you don't even try to do that. It works. It really does. Yeah, that's why it has a 5% success rate, maybe, at the best. We alcoholics are undisciplined. Once again, Bill, speak for yourself. You never had a fucking real job. You stole from your wife for years. You stole from your own organization to get a book started. You don't get to tell me about who's disciplined and what's not disciplined. You never did anything or accomplished anything other than starting a cult religion that you used desperate people who were desperate to stop a drinking problem to make a big fat fucking profit off of. So you don't get to tell me I'm undisciplined. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we've just outlined. Not me, you're not. I'm not going to do it. I can't believe I ever believed in any of this. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Oh yeah, I know. We're going to go to more AA meetings and hear more of this garbage. Faith without works is dead. If you say so, I don't really think so. And I don't give a fuck, because I don't need faith. I need evidence. Real evidence. Scientific evidence. Real world evidence as to what works and what doesn't work. Like not going to a liquor store. You know what? When I don't go to a liquor store, I don't get drunk. You know, when I do other things in life, you know, like if I have a sinus headache and I take an aspirin, it generally tends to work. Because it is in reality. See? Reality. Something you wouldn't know nothing about writing tripe like this. The next chapter is devoted entirely to step 12. Well, I think we can pass on that one. Okay, so we made it all the way through 86, 87, and 88. And yeah, we found out it's all mumbo-jumbo garbage that you don't need to put any faith in, trust in whatsoever. You're in charge of your life. You better be running your own show. You better not be asking me to run your own show, because it's you who's got to live in this world. It's you who's got to deal with the drinking problems. It's you who has to pay your bills. It is you who has to live life. It is your life. And it doesn't belong to Bill or AA God or any of them fucking old-timers or anyone else. It's your life to live as you choose. Throw this book in the garbage if you still got a copy of it. And I see you guys again next week. Thank you all for the donations at GoFundMe, by the way. I really appreciate that a lot. I mean, you people have been really, really great. I know times are hard out here. I know how hard it is to make ends meet out here, and I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, each and every one of you. And I'll see you guys next time.